The morning opener found the shop mat sliding again, because the Springer Spaniel had its teeth on one corner and was pulling it straight toward the planter. She put it back in front of the door, but the dog waited one beat, grabbed the same edge, and dragged it to the exact same angle again. That was the strange part. He was not chewing it or playing wild, just nudging the corner until the mat pointed beside the planter every time. When she tried to pull it away, he stepped in softly, and the leaves behind the planter gave one tiny shake against the nearby wall again. Now she crouched closer. There were small scuffs in the dust, and a pale tuft of fur caught on the planter's back corner near the wall. Still thinking about the messy entrance, she lifted the mat aside and pushed the planter tighter against the wall, trying to make the doorway look neat. The dog reacted to the planter, not the mat. He walked around to the side and waited where the narrow gap was hardest to see clearly. With her phone light low, she saw a curved scrape, then a tiny metallic flash that vanished behind the planter before she could focus on it properly enough. The second employee had the simple answer. The dog had turned the entrance mat into a game, and the workers kept rewarding it by reacting again today. So they rolled the mat up and set it by the door. The tugging stopped, and for a second, that answer made perfect sense to them. Then the dog ignored the rolled mat completely. He stood beside the planter, staring into the gap while the little jingle sounded again behind it softly. The door still needed opening, but the worker stopped her hand at the lock. Nobody should be stepping near that corner until they checked first carefully. She lowered the light one more time, and a small cat eye reflected back from behind the planter. The mat had never been the real problem at all. The worker looked at the dog, then at the crooked mat, and her face changed. He had been pointing to the space she kept fixing all morning. She asked him back with one small hand motion. The spaniel stepped away and lay low, giving the hidden cat enough quiet room to breathe safely. They brought over a plain carrier, but the planter was still too tight against the wall. Moving it too fast would only close the small chance again. So the worker laid the black mat diagonally from the planter to the carrier, matching the same arrow the dog had made there all morning with the mat. For a second, it worked. One small paw touched the mat, but the carrier sat too close, and the cat slipped back into the narrow space again. Then they understood the last clue. The dog had never crowded the gap. They moved back, and the path finally stayed open, quiet, and clearly safe. The cat stepped onto the mat, followed the diagonal line, and walked toward the carrier while the spaniel stayed still at the far edge, waiting patiently. When the carrier door closed, they straightened the mat in front of the shop again. The dog walked toward the same corner without pulling, but this time, he only sniffed it, looked toward the carrier beside the planter, and lay down on the mat. Would you have noticed the shop mat pointing at that planter?